Hi, good afternoon. This video is on independent versus dependent variables, and this should be on page 59 of your notebook. So let's go ahead and get started. So just really quickly, independent variables, it changes the dependent, and it's going to be your x value when we start graphing. And your dependent variable changes in response to your independent, and that's your y value. So a quick, easy way to remember it is the one in charge is the independent, and the one who gets changed is your dependent. So the first example says, in order to earn some spending money, I'm going to go close the door really quickly. Hold on. Sorry about that. All right. So in order to earn some spending money, Deanna babysits for several hours after school. How much money does she earn? So you think about the problem such as this. It's hours versus money. So those are the two things you're comparing. So your hours versus your money. And you have to think to yourself, well, which one's the one in charge? Are the hours changing the money, or is the money changing the hours? So in this case, it's the hours that are in charge. The more hours I babysit, the more money I make. So the hours would be your independent, and your money earned would be your dependent. Then we're going to practice some of these in the front, and then we'll do some on the inside, and then you'll practice the rest on your own. All right, so Ian walked his dog for 4 hours and earned $22. So we know that he's walking for a certain amount of hours, and he's earning some money. So the two things we're comparing is hours versus money. So same deal as Deanna babysitting. The independent variable would be the hours that he walked the dog.
Students, those of you who ride Route 5, please report to the auditorium. That bus is late today. Again, those of you who ride Route 5, please report to the auditorium.
And then the money earned would be the dependent. All right, the next one, Jacob spent $15 for 5 gallons of gas. So you are comparing the amount of money and the gallons of gas. So which one changes the other? Which one's in charge? Well, the number of gallons changes the amount of money you spend. So 5 gallons, so your gallons of gas would be your independent, because it's the one changing the amount of money you spend, which is your dependent. You studied for 2 hours and scored a 95% on your test. So you're comparing the hours of study versus the score on your test. So, sorry again.
Mr. Gray, please call the front office. Mr. Gray, please call the front office.
So the hours is one that's in charge of how your grade is on your test. The more hours you spend studying, the higher your grade will typically be. So your hours of study is your independent, and your dependent would be your test score. John raised $100 by selling 6 magazines. So you're raising money, and you're doing it by selling magazines. So the number of magazines versus the amount of money, so the number of magazines determines how much money you raised. So the number of magazines is the one that's kind of in charge. It's telling you how much money you have. So your magazine sales and then the dependent would be the money raised. The last one, Mrs. Jones walks 10,000 steps every day for a week. So here we're comparing 10,000 steps and then your day. So the amount of days is the independent, because it changes how many steps you do. So the number of days. So the more days I walk, the more steps I'll do. So this is the number of steps. I will tell you, typically, when you're talking time versus something else, time is usually your independent. I'm not going to say it's always, but time typically will be your independent. All right, when we go on the inside, it says fill in the table below by finding the situations that share a common event and then placing them under the correct heading, independent versus dependent. So I've already done some, so I'm going to show you what I did. So A, the size of bag of Skittles. And then I'm going to look through the whole entire chart and try to find something else that's talking about Skittles. And boom, G is also talking about Skittles. So I'm comparing A and G. Okay. So the size of the bag of Skittles, the number of green Skittles. So the independent would be the size of the bag. The dependent would be the number of green Skittles. The bigger the bag, the more green Skittles there will probably be. So then I connected them side by side because those are the ones that connect to each other. And then since A is the independent, I put it over here. And since G is the dependent, I put it right here. Next, the next example I did was your height and whether or not you can ride the roller coaster. So which one depends on the other? Well, whether or not you can ride on the roller coaster depends on your height. So your height is the one that's in charge. So this would be your independent and H would be your dependent. So then that's how I did that one. The third one, the time it takes to wait in line. And then I found another one that was talking about groceries right down here, P. So the time it takes to stand in line versus the amount of groceries you have. Well, the amount of groceries I have is what's going to change how much time. If I have less groceries, I stand in line less. If I have more groceries, I stand in line longer. So my groceries, the amount of groceries would be my independent. My time would be my dependent. So then that's how I put them side by side right here. Okay. What you're going to do is go ahead and fill in the rest of these. Okay. If you want to practice some online practice and get some feedback, you can. You can use these 2 QR codes. And then here's just some more practice. Really, if you want to try these out, maybe just do the odds over here, and maybe just do, instead of doing all 8, maybe only do 4. So do about half of these, so half of these and half of these, just to get a little bit more practice. And then tomorrow in class, you can ask me about any of them. All right, I hope you have a great night. And if you have any questions, comments, leave them at the bottom of this video, or you can ask me tomorrow in class. All right, good night.